is everything pretty much tapped out? Like should they invest in the global market or
not? I think there's still money to be made in Africa and Asia personally. Coke's all over Europe. Well, Coke and Pepsi are both all over Europe. My wife and I went to Russia last year, and one of the things that we learned was the Russians actually put an agreement in place with Pepsi back under communism.
Really?
Yeah, the Russians were allowed to. The Russians, Stoli vodka.
Yeah.
They set up a deal where the Russians, Pepsi was selling Stoli vodka in the United States, and the Russians were selling Pepsi, or the Soviets were selling Pepsi in the Soviet Union. That was the deal they set up back in the 70s or 80s. So, but Coke didn't break in until after the fall of communism. And most of Europe, I personally think Coke and Pepsi's business is going to be better abroad because the United States is going more health conscious, and we've been the largest consumers of it because that's where it started. So you see it everywhere in like Europe, but people don't drink as much. Like it's not, people will buy a bottle of Coke, like a 600 milliliter bottle of Coke, and they'll drink that. They're not going to go get like a large fountain drink at McDonald's and fill it up 5 times. You know what I mean?
Right.
So, I haven't been to Africa yet, but from the people I've talked to in Africa, you can get it, but it's not as prevalent because a lot of Africa is still like lower income. And I think if they could find a way to like market to emerging markets, places that are like just now starting to get, modernized or whatever you want to call them, people would probably buy it, but you would sell smaller quantities. But, you would get, I think it's declining in the U.S., but I think there's still opportunities around the world they could go after.
See,
go ahead.
Okay, I was thinking, like I was doing some research in like Africa, like you were saying that like in South Africa, there is Coke and stuff like that. But I was like, if they invest money into other of the West and the East Africa areas, could they really afford it? So I was like, would they be doing like would it be just a blind mission? They're investing into something that, they just can't afford. Because a lot of people in West and East Africa, they're not, really taking their kids out for pizza. And so that was my idea. So that's why I was wondering.
You would have to do it in larger cities. Like you could do it like parts of Kenya are still fairly impoverished, but like in the largest slum in the world is in Nairobi, or outside of Nairobi.
And I know Nigeria has some nice areas too.
Yeah, parts of Nairobi are nice, and then like you can go to like in Entebbe, Uganda has there's like soccer bars and stuff where people will go and watch, and there's a lot of European expats that live in Africa in various places. So the more built up cities you could sell it, but I don't know how much goodwill Coke and Pepsi want to do, but Coke and Pepsi could probably find ways to bring water to a lot of these impoverished places and sell Coke to them. If you go in and bring them water for free and then give them Coke for, a nickel, they might take it. I mean, it's that may be the future of them building goodwill so people will buy their drinks somewhere,
That's true. What about you, Karen?
Well, I just think like as far as it seems like it would be more regionalized, right? They would have to take into account the socioeconomic status of the region, right? Versus just like you're saying, going in and being like, well, here's a fountain drink, it's like, or even regional tastes. Like, you've seen like how different companies come in and they have more regional products, right? That really hone in on what, that specific clientele wants. So I could see them like pursuing that a little bit more,
That's true.
Yeah. They make Coke in Afghanistan. I didn't know that.
Yeah.
In Kabul, Afghanistan, they make it in 12-ounce cans or 355 milliliter cans, which is the same thing. And you can buy it there. You can buy a whole flat of it for like $5.
Wow.
So
I didn't know that.
I heard overseas it tastes better too. So
it depends on if they use real sugar, it tastes better.
Yeah, that's what I heard.
Yep.
They use real sugar.
Better Mexico too, to be honest.
No, yeah, I mean, we're so close to the border, you know, like with the, yeah, no, seriously, like people go over, they're like, we don't like this Coke in San Diego. We'll go down and get the one from Tijuana, you know, because they do. It's different tasting, you know?
Yep.
Oh, wow. No, you know, when I first read that question though, it's like, you know, I was thinking also like Untappd, not just the market, but like, do you think there's other products that they could go into, like that you feel that they would want to venture into, like kind of like if you're looking at like the blue ocean theory, like is there any untapped resource that they would go into to, you know, broaden their market share?
That's true. I was thinking because I read somewhere as well that overseas that basically it's the classic products that really excel well, like regular Coke, regular Diet Coke. So I think of I didn't even think that way, Karen, but that's a good point.
Yeah, and most of the places like in Europe and South America, they have Coke,